No turning back. We have our ancestors with us. We're going to continue to dance with them. Dreaming them. Calling them. Being them. We are becoming what we were.
It is part of that Mayan prophecies.
7 triangles of light.
Keep walking. You are the spirit of Unapu. Keep walking. We the human, we are doing the spirit of Unapu.
People who say that the gods made them from corn. They planned their lives according to the heavens. Well versed in astronomy, using a sophisticated mathematics, they calculated the movements of the night sky thousands of years into the past and thousands of years into the future. They knew that the universe moved in cycles. Their lives were ruled by the rhythms of the natural world, planting and harvesting, birth and death, just as the great tree of life emerges from the earth.
Always, they're connected. Science and religion.
In dreams, we learn from the Maya gods when to plant and when to harvest, when to set the fire, and when to do the corn ceremony.
What we're digging up, what we're coming up with is part of our history. And the men that lived here are some of the greatest men we've ever had. And it's a fact that we're getting to know more and more and more about the life of these people.
They still maintain their customs. They still maintain their ways of organizing their societies. And it's very exciting to see how much of the ancient Maya way of life is still alive as well.
Because American history does not begin in 1492 with Columbus. It begins in 200 BC with the first Maya king who wrote his name on a stone. What is happening now is the people who made these places, people like Yashpak or Bird Jaguar or Pakal, are getting back their voices. They are becoming real to us and speaking to the people of the 20th century about who built this place and why and what they felt and what they thought about the world. These are not anonymous people anymore.
You are the spirit of Unapu. Keep walking. We the human, we are doing the spirit of Unapu.
Yo, LA Natives podcast, Las Aslan.
LA Natives
podcast, man, dog. That LA Native show that went down, Custer's Last Stand, was just history in the making, right, Zero?
You know, what I got out of it was the people that really loved the people that really love what we do were there. And, you know, we would have liked to sell it out completely, you know, but we had other things that were competing.
But, you know, even though we were competing with Back to Basics and, you know, shout out to Back to Basics. That was a great event. Shout out to Viva Mezcal throwing a dope-ass event out there in East LA.
I think it's called the Lighter Fluid or something.
The Lighter Fluid. Shout out to everyone on that bill. And shout out to the LA Natives podcast event.
Yeah, it was a great show. I mean, I think the people that showed up to play really kind of understood our movement. You know, it's not a movement that's radicalized, although some of the lyrics can be viewed that way.
And that's
but it was more cohesive.
Right. You know? And to look down the line, this is what the purpose of the podcast is for. To give you guys great content to watch and to listen to. And then to go to our events.
Yeah.
To go to Plant-Based Aslan. To go to these indigenous hip-hop gatherings, right?
Right. Well, the more we gather, the more we get from it. You know what I noticed about that night, Armando, is that people remembered someone from the last time.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, dude, I remember you, or whatever. That's kind of cool.
We saw a lot of familiar faces, and most importantly, we saw a lot of new faces.
Well, yeah, shout out to the plant-based Aslan familia, the Malinali familia that, I was just hitting up all the customers that were going and that were feeling the vibe of understanding the indigenous story of genocide and surviving of genocide and coming with, medicinal and sovereign thoughts all at once in one venue with a group of, not only one group that thinks that way, but you got Dakota Bear, you got myself, you got Deso Somok, you had Witches Brew. I mean, the lineup was diverse as fuck.
I'm sure our audience, and most importantly, you and me, we have to give a huge thanks to Dakota Bear from traveling
Absolutely,
all
bro.
the way from Canada,
and then coming
over
down
here.
to Malinali and just being a part of the crew. Like, he didn't separate himself. He didn't feel like, timid or overconfident. I mean, I think it was Los Angeles is something that you need to cultivate. It doesn't just happen overnight. And I'm only telling you that because I've been doing Los Angeles and saying I'm an artist from Los Angeles for over 25 years, And, the message is the message, and sometimes it's received, sometimes it isn't. But if you keep grinding and you keep cultivating and coming, and that's what he said. He said he'd be back, and if he does come back, then we need to do something small, something, or if we can get the catch, whatever. We just got to be a family and just continue to gather as we've been gathering, for the past 2 years. And this time around, I think now that Malinali, when we started the first annual LA Natives podcast event, I barely had started the store, so I was just grinding there 16, 18 hours a day,
Absolutely.
Now I have time, and it's time to really kind of put my hands in the soil and put together things that the community needs, which is workshops, follow-up workshops, and we got a big event coming up that I'm honored to be on, which is the Mortal Technique show, July 22nd at the Catch One. Shout out to Immortal Technique for coming and blessing the fam with his powerful message. And it's an honor to be on that lineup, dude.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Armando.
No, bro, you don't have to thank anyone. Thank the LA underground hip hop community.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Ultimately, the people know who they want to see.
And that's true, bro, because when it comes to shout out XP, shout out Val 9, shout out all these individuals that are putting their version of music and art, Nug Life,
Absolutely.
all that. It was just a powerful, encouraging, motivating event because I want to keep following it up, Maybe not necessarily with performances, but, something of the nature of advancing the movement to where it needs to go.
Right. Just like the LA Natives podcast event and just like this Immortal Technique event, there's a lot of substance behind it. There's a message, there's a calling behind this music, right?
Well, I mean, when you become an artist that starts to advocate for people who have not been advocated for 500 years, you shoot up the limelight, You shoot up to the predominant spot, and that's where Technique put himself, and he delivered.
Yep.
He delivered by being one of the most prolific lyricists on a political stance since Public Enemy, bro.
Yep.
I mean, come on, dude. And of course, they're going to try to squash him and put him down and, keep him in the lower ranks of whatever they think they're doing. But his message is strong. He has a good following. And I don't expect anything else but a sellout there.
Absolutely. And this is why this show is so important, man. We our guests coming up.
Well, everybody who listens to this show obviously listens to Immortal Technique and, Val 9 and the underground that bubbles in Los Angeles. It creates these diverse acts where you have to walk a tightrope to kind of keep interest, and that's why I keep developing my show. I've evolved from other projects that I've been involved in since 1999. And so now it's time to really kind of hit the big leagues. And I consider this next show, July 22nd, Immortal Technique, Val 9, XP, Chino XL, myself, DJ Survive, DJ Warlock 1.
Pause 1.
I mean, dude, you're putting together some really solid, in your face hip hop shows, bro.
Oh, bro, it's gonna be amazing.
It's gonna be a crazy night.
Anyone tuning in, anyone that's gonna listen to us or watch this on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, man, just come out to the event. It's gonna be historical. Get your tickets now before it sells out. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, I mean, they're affordable, and we got to keep things. We have the one thing that our ancestors had and our community always really kind of paid attention to is art, and how we use this art to explain our situation. Sometimes could be too much for people, but sometimes is other people can understand the maybe horrific but yet triumphant story of indigenous lives.
Yep.
So, and forever we feel like, since it's been 500 years, that we had to defend ourselves from racist individuals, defend ourselves from people who don't understand that we were fed an illusion of a better life if we were to cross that border, and then if you put up a taco stand and someone don't agree with it, they're there, kind of destroying your work.
And this is why this show is so important, because the guest we have today, he's in the front lines. He's out there exposing this bullshit that goes down. I would love to have a conversation with individuals that really kind of feel like, we have to say something and put something out there. And I think when the world of, how to say, activism and the world of art kind of, marry each other, then you're going to see some prolific movements in the world. Absolutely. Let's go ahead and bring Edin in right now.
Yo.
Yo.
How you doing, brother?
Hey, how's it going? ¿Cómo están?
Bien.
Yo, my man, I just want to thank you again. I was talking to you earlier off air, man, and just want to thank you for accepting this invite, man. I think this is going to be a dope interview right here.
Absolutely. I always like to get into the minds of individuals that, take their time to expose certain things and then find the motivation of that. What is the motivation? Because it's the same thing as, oh, wow, I'm observing life and then I write music out of it, But, yeah, introduce yourself, dude, and let us know what you focus on.
For sure. My name is Edin Alex Enamorado, and I'm a street vendor activist.
Sweet.
Bro, that's like straight to the point right there, man.
Right.
And from what I've seen and from what I've heard of you, man, you're truly out there, and you do it in a different way, like how Zero kind of explained it. It's like you're a street vendor activist, social media, it's art, and you're blending it together, bro. That's how I see it. Like you're an artist at true heart, bro.
Yeah, art is all about helping people. And I used to make music too, and it's a beautiful thing when you make a song and it actually changes someone's perspective, or helps them with their trauma, right? And it's the same thing here. And the only blessing that I get to see it right when it happens. When we help people,
right?
And it's with music, it's kind of harder, right? When you put out a song, and that's a sad thing. But when you go out to concerts, like for LA Natives, which we just had, and that's when you get to see it, right? So it's very similar.
Well, to gather those people together in that same energy, and and walk that. I try to walk a balance between art and activism.
Yeah.
Because a long time ago, when I was a kid and I started my road in singing songs for the community in terms of their awareness, an elder pulled me aside and said, "Bro, you got to have a balance to this." He's all, because if not, it'll just take you and eat you up and spit you out, and then someone else will just take your place.
How did you find that balance? Sorry to cut you off.
Well, that's okay. I think what I did was I went inside deeper, and I put instead of like regurgitating things that I've learned or trying to be creative about someone else's words, I tried to create my own words in my own way. And I think that's what he meant. Don't get caught up in anger, because you could be following somebody who's very angry. Do your own version of of what you feel, right? And when you do that, then you become your own entity, right? It's not,
Yeah.
it's together, but together very strong, but not the same thing as others,
Yeah.
right? And that may, you can, when we look at the story of activists, you got to go, you look at the big picture, not just the good things they've done.
Correct.
What's the big picture and what was the outcome of their work? So I really admire you, one, because I mean, how hard is it to be a street vendor, right? And then have someone come and destroy all of your hard work, maybe your little bit of money of investment, and be afraid to call authorities because, I would imagine that's why they don't call the cops or whatever, right?
Yep.
They just kind of let people do it, right? That's what I've seen on Instagram.
A lot. A lot
I
of them. A
mean,
lot of them don't call the cops. I would say a huge majority. I see it every day. You know, every time wherever I go, I pull over every time I see a street vendor and I give them either a pepper spray. I get their contact information in case they ever need anything, right?
mhm,
And I would say about 95% of the times they tell me, me atacaron hace 2 semanas, or they attacked me 2 weeks ago. I was robbed here. I was robbed there. I didn't call the cops, because I don't know. I'm scared of getting deported
mhm,
or
mhm,
whatever. And I try to tell them, well, this is a sanctuary state. It's a little, next time, either if you don't want to call the cops, fine. Next time it happens, just call me, and then we can guide you through some help. But it sucks, man, and it breaks my heart, man, and it's sad because now I don't know what's going on with me because now I'm feeling numb now.
mhm.
My partner always tells me like, "How do you feel about this? It just happened." And it's kind of like when your kid falls, man, and like you don't even think about it. You just run over there and just pick them up, right?
Right.
And that's how I feel now. But it's I mean I'm even asking myself this question like, is something wrong with me now? Like it's not that I don't get angry. It's just I just want to help, man. And people ask me this all the time, like, what's my goal, right? With helping street vendors. And to be honest, dude, like I grew up in Cudahy in Southeast LA. I'm a convicted felon. I kind of know, I've had a few rodeos, right? So it's like
Mhm,
I put myself in a person's mind who is attacking a street vendor, and I'm like, I just want to prevent a death.
mhm,
Like
mhm.
I really want to prevent a death. Like I just like during the pandemic, man, it was so tough because like I felt so helpless, and I got to the point where I had to hire PPO licensed security guards with guns to stand out there with street vendors in Watts, South Central, and Long Beach, because those were the areas that were being targeted the most. To
Mhm.
literally stand out there with vendors who were vulnerable for 6 to 8 hours.
Wow.
It got to that point because cops they don't do anything but show up after the crime and they write a little report and then that's it. But
Mhm.
you have to be there with
Yeah.
them to
Yeah.
prevent this.
Yeah.
It
And
got that bad.
why? I mean, because usually, I mean, what I've seen, the people that do it, obviously, there's all diverse people that do it, right? They go up to street vendors and destroy their food and, tell them to get out of here or go back to their country, whatever it is. But the majority of it in like South Central, right? Like in that South Central Compton area, it's been black people. That's what I'm trying to say. And it's not saying that I'm putting a blanket on all black people. I'm just saying what I've seen on TikTok, it's been like African American people attacking another person of color, is what I'm trying to point out. It's like two people of color are just fighting over, one is just frustrated and the other
Yeah,
one is trying to make it. What a
yeah,
perfect system, you know what I mean, to be in that. I mean, for people who have power, for people who have, because imagine if all these street vendors were organized enough to create food courts that rival food courts in big malls, right?
yeah. And that's exactly what we're doing with Yankees.
Yeah,
Um,
it's great.
this is an organization that has been doing this in Orange County. We're gonna bring this to LA. But there's also already some. There's Avenue 26 and Pico Rivera Sports Arena. That it's a safe haven for vendors to sell. But we want to keep expanding, right? Um, and during the pandemic, the working class lost about $300 billion, and oligarchs gained and profited it off the pandemic and gained $300 billion. And I guess it's kind of like the divide and conquer type of strategy where you have people in our communities just fighting amongst each other for resources because that's exactly what's happening.
But
And
both very poor. Like
yeah,
there's no reason. Like I
yeah,
could see like you know, those neo-Nazi middle class individuals that just, you know, feel like this person's not paying taxes and I have to pay taxes, so fuck this dude or her or this woman.
Yeah.
And but when I see a poor, like, obviously they didn't look wealthy, and it didn't look like they
Yeah.
were mad because they weren't paying taxes. They were just mad. Like, and they had somebody to take it out on, and that person was happened to be right there, right in the path of someone being upset and frustrated.
Yeah.
And I hope I didn't, you know, make it seem like African American people are against any. But it's just it's more of a poverty thing, in my opinion. Like, you know, when you because I mean, like, you made a pretty good example, like Avenue 20, is it 26, right? It's 26
Yeah.
Market. Yeah, Avenue
Yeah.
26 Market. I mean, I love what they shut them down, right? And they're like, you can't
Yeah.
do this. What are you talking about? You can't do this. And what did they do? They became creative and they went, okay, well, we're all gonna go to Pico Rivera, you know, and be united. And supposed, and you know, it went off pretty good. I mean, I seen and so that's the idea with Tianguis, right?
Yes. Same
Kind of
thing.
have a safe
What?
haven for these individuals.
Yeah. Under an umbrella where they don't have to worry about permits or anything because under um, the federally recognized, like, whatever it's uh, what is it, a farmer's market, they won't have to worry about anything because it's the Department of Public Health. You know, I hate when people spit this rhetoric, right? Why don't they just get their permits? Why don't they do it the legal way? Well, if people knew, I mean, I didn't know this at the beginning when I got involved. The Department of Public Health has only approved a tamale card.
Hmm.
They make it close to impossible to get a permit if you have a taco card, a elote card, a
Hmm.
churro card,
Hmm.
because they haven't even came up with the agreements of what they want to approve, right? So it sucks, man. It sucks, and a lot of these vendors they've tried. You know, the Department of Public Health, out of like 10,000 eligible applicants, they've only approved 160 throughout the whole year of 2021.
Wow.
You know, so that's a lot of stuff that people don't know, and I think it has to do a lot with these attacks, man. A lot of restaurants too are envious, but I've seen a lot of people who owned restaurants during the pandemic who lost their restaurants, and now they have to go and street vend it. So, I mean, there's a variety of resources that we have right now, dude. But I'm pretty concerned right now. Right now that it's summer, I swear I can't even catch up, man. It's 2 to 3 attacks a week right now, which is
Wow.
exploded.
That
It
many?
exploded. Yeah, bro. It exploded. Right, like right now, I haven't even. You know what's funny, dude? Like I know Sean King, and I used to always ask myself, like, how come he doesn't post this situation or that situation, this and that? And then I'm backed up now. Like
Mhm.
I'm backed up with cases. Like there's like 2, 3 videos that happen in other cities that I haven't even got a chance to even get a hold of that because I'm still dealing with 2, 3 situations here just so far this week. It sucks, man. So
Well, I mean, I think that's where our creativity would come together, right?
yeah,
Like it sounds like you went from being an activist to almost a news reporter, right? Because everybody
yeah,
came to you with this information, like, "Oh, go tell homie over here," and you know, now you're the news guy, right?
that's
And
exactly what it is.
I've never seen a newspaper, a news network do it with just one person, you know.
No.
And so that's where the creativity, and that's what I suggest. If anything, you know, one is interviewing you on LA Native so people know what's
Yeah,
happening, that there are massive, tremendous attacks on very innocent people who are just trying to feed their family. They're trying to pay rent. They probably live with 3 or 4 other people or 4 other families, and you know,
And best believe, you know, in a lot of these cases, if Eden wasn't involved, the media wouldn't have caught up to it as soon
yeah,
as they did.
yeah.
That's how I see it, Eden.
I
Like
mean, I think
the work that you do, bro, like the media now follows you around and shit. But it should be the other
yeah.
way around, you know?
It should be. It's sad, bro. Like my contact right now, not to brag or nothing. Like I have literally like 10 staff members from Univision, 10 from Telemundo, NBC, ABC. I never had to call them. Now it's just like like a routine now, and it's sad. You know,
Well, you
as soon
know
as it
how I
happens,
see it.
yeah,
How I see it with, you know, I'm super underground, independent. I'm always against the grain. I like. We all know why the news wants to cover this. They want to sell ads. They want to, you know, get as many eyeballs to their
hmm
channel as possible. But they cover it one day and then it's brushed under the rug the next, right, Zero?
Yeah, well,
Exactly, and
I
that's
think
the sad thing because no, go
I,
ahead.
I think a different approach has to happen, not only on the side and I'm only going towards like creative solutions. I'm not criticizing.
Yeah,
I'm just saying that
yeah,
the solution has to be that look in richer, wider neighborhoods, there's night markets all the time, especially in summer, right? There's several vendors collectively, on a street shutting it down,
yeah,
and doing what they do. And in that one market, they make maybe half their month of obligations, with bills and
yeah,
rent and stuff like that because it's so popping, right? Now, we're just going to affect one area, but there's so many cities in Los Angeles and so many we need to tell the vendors not to just pop up wherever they can, but pop up in a strategic manner together, collectively, like the Tianguis idea, right? Like the
yeah,
Avenue 26 idea. Those ideas, I mean, if they did 4 different markets in one month, I mean, they're gonna be okay. They wouldn't have to be in dangerous situations at 2 a.m. in the morning, on a street corner in a very dangerous neighborhood because that's just
yeah,
baiting everyone.
A lot of the best entrepreneurs in the food business came from vending, especially in the
yeah,
raza scene, the
Yeah,
Mexican restaurant
yeah.
scene. Like,
yeah,
And I mean, that's the collectivity of, that's what I love about Mexico City is when I went to Mexico City, when a problem happened, everyone got together. Everyone got together and figured out a way. And to the point where they were putting up iron fences in front of their neighbor. Like you couldn't go into the neighborhood after 8 o'clock, right? Because they closed the fences because collectively the community says, nah, after 8, only people that live here are allowed here. And that's how they kept their cities safe from being raped or from being, bullied by the police officers or whatever it is. That's the creativity of a community, right? And man, I feel you, brother. I feel you because I know that you want to stop this. There's no need for it. But we also collectively have to look at it objectively in the big picture and say, man, those are very unsafe neighborhoods, one, and you're staying very late. At that
yeah,
point, it becomes dangerous for you and your customer because you know what I mean? It's just
yeah.
that's just the way I feel.
Yeah,
That's not the
the thing about
facts.
the farmers markets, like in rich white neighborhoods, is that they have the money to meet all the requirements from the Department of Public Health. They have all the money to meet the fees from the city. We also have to understand that a lot of our vendors are undocumented, so
Yeah.
they are scared to even give out their information.
Mm.
That built up another block.
No,
So
no, I
it's
agree. I agree, but there's also a lot of poor cities that don't care. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
if it's done in a like on a Sunday morning till Sunday early evening, there's creative solutions. There's places. There's pockets. There's the networking of that. I know it's going to be like an impossible task to tell somebody, hey,
right.
you know what, it might be
Don't sell
strategic.
today.
It might, but I think we're very intelligent, and what blocks us from being ultra intelligent or massively intelligent it's a collective intelligence, right? Where people go, hey, you know what? Let's do this market here, there. We could do it right here on this alley, blah 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 blah. Instead of, and we'll collectively come together 10 each, and then we just have to hire 4 security guards, and boom, we got our shit done. And you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
collectively working together, like I've seen in Mexico. You know.
um,
yeah,
Well,
and
there are
to
no
be honest,
resources in Mexico. You can't call nobody over there. Hey, you know what? They're
yeah,
fucking with me over here. You know what I
but
mean?
but but guys, how I see it, like especially how it's so polarized on social media, and like I said, if it wasn't for some of Eden's work, a lot of these uh, stories wouldn't even be out there as recognized as they are.
Absolutely.
But look, you know, half of it has to do with racism and discrimination, and then the other half has to do with just trying to get money, trying to get that cash, trying to you know pull a lick or come up in some way, shape, or
But
form,
you got
right?
to collectively
But
think of
Eden,
like,
right? Like you're battling racism, theft, attempted murder all at once, right?
yeah, yeah. And it got to
And
the point in San Diego there was these women vendors that were getting attacked by multiple people, and I just like, dude, I told my girl, like, we gotta drive out there, we gotta go out there, and I got frustrated, dude, and We actually got in a fight with one of them, man. Like they showed up and on a Wednesday morning, just antagonizing them, and it got to the point where it got violent. But it's funny, dude, because they ended up calling the cops on us, but then they ended up getting arrested because they're the ones that threw the first punch. But it gets to the point where um, it's like it's a lot of white supremacy going on, not just in San Diego, but just everywhere, especially after Trump won. A lot of the people that weren't as vocal about it, now they got like their wings, you know. They now they don't care about, you know, being a bigot out in the street in the open because they have a feel like, you know, 50% of the country will back you up because that's how they feel.
Well, I think, I'm just from my observations, of being in this movement for so long, not only just, in every aspect, right? And when the first years I started studying, like, I don't know, Malcolm X or, Russell memes or anybody, they always talked about like because they were already older, right? They were in their 30s and they're become very strong activists, right?
Right.
But then they were talking about maybe when they were younger and how racist it was, right? So if we're going, well, if they're going 30 years into their, when they were kids and it was still racist, it's always been racist, bro. America has never not been racist. I don't know. You know what stops us from thinking that it is that we live around Mexican people, right? Our
We think
communities
that
are,
we're safe, yeah.
and we feel like, oh yeah, there's no racism here. We get it from the cop, yeah, but that's every once in a while, and he doesn't really like, he can't get everybody. You know what I mean? Obviously, they target people, and that's racist. But I don't. I tried to search in the data bank of everything, and it's like, when has it not been racist? I mean, the land was stolen from indigenous people. That's already the top of the top racism. It never stopped. And
Maybe
then,
maybe it wasn't racist before 1492, but it was racist after that for sure.
well, yeah, definitely. We never ever had a chance, or there was never like, oh, look at the decade
Never.
of like non-white supremacy or non-bigotry. And the whole Trump, oh, I got an excuse now to say it because Trump was elected. They've always said it. You know what I mean? But they just feel like, oh, I could be a social media star
Trend.
after this,
But
like,
that, but
right? Just kind of like that.
and that white supremacy trickles down into these inner cities with,
There's different levels of it. There's the guy driving the truck, and then there's that rich guy who went to Harvard, and then there's that, it never went away. It's always been here. It's always been here, and it won't go away. That's their sickness. It's not for us to cure. It's for us to be very aware of and be so creative, because creativity creates complexity for people who are very simple like they are. People who are racist are very simple people. They're very cut and dry. That you could see them a mile away.
yep.
Even when they're have a tie and they act like they are not, you can see it a mile away if you're aware, if you understand, if you are connected. You could see that. That's, I think, the shift of 2012 was that we would be able to see that. You understand? Because before we couldn't see it. Before it was like, go to school, da da da. Oh shit, no, nobody's racist here. Yeah, but they kind of treat me weird. It's like treat it differently. But
No, yeah.
that's what they hammer in your head. Oh look, Martin Luther King. Fuck, dude. I learned from Martin Luther King from elementary all the way to fucking high school. Martin Luther King. Go look at everybody I have a dream, and they never changed, ever. They never changed. Oh, well, we did over here on this side. Yeah, there was always a group of you guys. But collectively, never. So we should expect these type of attacks.
Yeah.
And rely on our creativity, which is what you're doing. Because really what you are is a news film editor. And you put a story to it. And that story gets felt by your community. And that's honorable. That's a warrior. What is the creativity? What's the evolution of that creativity? Right? Like, I've been challenged with that all my career.
Yeah, but like I'm sorry, I don't know the name of of the person in the background
Armando?
talking. So sorry, Mando. Sorry, Mando. Like he said, it's you mentioned that the news forgets after a week, you know, and the difference
Yeah.
between us is that, for example, Don Ignacio, he was stabbed 8 times. 64-year-old man, he was stabbed 8 times in L.A. and we still keep in contact with him till this day. And now he's selling at the Pico de Bora Sports Arena safely, you know.
Nice.
And
Success story.
and the we like and like what you mentioning, like we shouldn't exist, you know, this shouldn't be happening, right? And it's sad. And I feel like our community, like you said, we have to become sort of like a porcupine,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great.
Have that.
We have to. You know why I like that example?
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like the armadillo. It
Mhm.
creates its own protection. There was a reason why we love the turtle. There was a reason why we love the armadillo. Because it created its own protection.
Yeah.
We need to think like that. We're gonna think like that.
Yeah.
That's the evolution of your activism. I know you are. I know you're gonna find creative solutions because the weight of the pain of the dysfunction, and let's face it, these are concentration camps. Come on, dude. They're concentration camps. If you poll everyone that lives in those poor neighborhoods, I bet you they're all on public assistance. Most of them. And I'm not talking shit. I'm just saying that that's an area that suffers from extreme poverty, right? And so what's going to happen in those concentration camps, in those projects, in those reservations? Violence. Violence is going to happen there because it's rampant with unstable mental health, drug addiction, molestation. What else do we expect from these communities? I hope I'm not sounding like I'm trying to make us look bad. I'm just saying white supremacy created these things for us to kind of feel like we can never get out of. All of us divided, all of us not working together, all of us scared to even talk to each other. But once we collectively come together with love, intelligence, creativity, that's more powerful than greed, in my opinion.
Definitely.
But I admire your work, brother, and keep doing it. You're a video editor that can tell a story.
Yeah.
That's a powerful person because why do we look at the news? Because they edit it properly and they tell a story. And we're fucking there going, oh, wow, what, 10,000 people? And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, instead of getting, like, I'm not saying instead of. What I see you doing is going, one post, how many cities, how many attacks, total number, talk about it, talk the specifics, boom, 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 boom. See how you're becoming like a network of information just on this one subject.
Yeah.
Man, you're a powerful person, brother, and I really admire your work, man. I'm gonna keep saying that throughout this whole podcast because you're gonna be challenged. You have to be challenged.
Yeah, like the term influencer gets used very loosely nowadays. You know what I'm saying? But
Well, I
being
think
a
that's
true
the,
influencer,
you know what
in the
you know what
game-
fucking
'Cause,
influencer is when it
unfortunately,
comes to people like him.
You know, people say I'm an influencer, so I kind of understand like the weight it has on people when
Right.
it comes to knowing that anything that you post, a lot of people are gonna look at it. You know, not a lot of it's it's very tough to get a following.
Well,
I'm saying I'm in the entertainment business. You know
No,
what I'm
I
saying? work
get
with a
it.
lot of
No,
artists.
but I think
And I'm sure
I
Edin,
think
right?
the word influencer really got put onto us as artist or poet or actor or this entertainment kind of thing, right? But what you really are, if you kind of just shift your eyesight just a tiny bit and let that fucking influencer fly by your ear and go, wait, I'm doing exactly what CNN does, but in truth. Man, that's far more than an influencer, bro. That's like That's like a fucking news producer, right?
Yeah.
Someone that really kind of understands the story, knows how to tell it, can get very detailed about it. You need help. That's what you need. You need 4 or 5 of you.
No, I'm getting it. So we have a routine. We have a whole process. Like not only are we out there with street vendors every day, giving them pepper sprays, teaching them how to charge folks with Venmo, Cash App, or Zelle, so they won't have so much money in their pockets.
Brilliant.
So we're doing that. We're doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes. Honestly, bro, like there's like 80% of stuff that I do I don't post online, but
But you need to. But you need to, bro. You need
but
to.
luckily we have a good team. We have Christian, my friend Christian Cardenas, who's an attorney. We've been able to file like restraining orders for vendors who keep getting attacked by the same person. We've been able to get immigration attorneys to work pro bono to get U visas for those that qualify. I said, man, I have a funny story. Well, it's not funny. It's actually a good story, and it has to do with the LA Native show that happened last year. I actually met my partner through not just the LA Native show, but also through this activism that I'm doing towards street vendors. So my girlfriend does security for rallies and protests, so we have met through protests, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is a story I tell her all the time. So she had offered to do security for street vendors because I had a whole group of securities that would go out and stand with the vendors during vulnerable times, right? But then I liked her, and so I would see her on Instagram, and then I seen that she was on her way to the LA Native show, and I wanted to go too, so I was like, I'm gonna go see what's up, I like this girl, so whatever, and we didn't get to hook up like that night at the LA Native, so we got to see each other, and about 2-3 weeks later, we actually went out for the first time after she did security for a street vendor. But I'm never gonna forget that day and how I went to go see her at the LA Native show. We had a great time.
And now you're on the
Last year.
podcast being interviewed.
Now I'm in the podcast. That's why I'm saying. Like, I never felt worthy, dude, to be on this podcast.
I'm glad.
So,
and I'm honored that we created that vibe.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? To go out to an event. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes,
And now it's just that, it comes time, when we were studying the Maya prophecies of 2012 and the depth of it, not like the general story of the end of the world or the hippie version of it, more like, what does it really mean? That count was a profound count. Look at it as a count and what it was going to do, right? And what it did was it shifted perspective. And if you had a horrible perspective, it went, you know what I mean? That's what we call a Trump supporter. Somebody who just wild with thoughts. But if you were intelligent individual with creativity, it turned people like this brother right here who became an activist for people who were vulnerable, right? From different, they're not only from Mexico. I'm assuming they're from like Honduras and Guatemala and El Salvador, all these places that it's not just Mexico, because when they get deported, if they get deported, they're going far, and they had to go a long ways to get here. I mean, through different countries.
And I want to say something that I haven't said in any podcast before, and I think it's just something that needs to be said. I feel like the people that are listening is people that are good people. But I would say, dude, about 80% of street vendors that I come across are from Puebla, Mexico, right? And they, a lot of them, and this is something that's very frustrating to me. A lot of them are paying off their debt. And to some not so good people, and they are being exploited, and they are being put into dangerous positions, dangerous situations, like you mentioned, when they're being put out to sell late at night. And this is not our fault. This is obviously U.S. intervention, the whole colonialism of what the United States has done to these southern countries, and how they've caused this crisis. So that's something that I'm still trying to figure out, to whether how deep I get into this, how much danger I can get myself into, or my family,
Absolutely. But, I mean, it's
a whole different problem.
Yeah, you go off doing a noble deed and then find out that the deed is, could be very dangerous. And that's what I told you, bro. A lot of people think, that being someone of voice, someone with palabra, someone with that has the activism and the heart that you have, and it's not an easy road. And then it starts to get deeper and deeper and deeper, and then you find yourself in a way, well, what? And I believe me, when I started my career in being somewhat of an activist for our community of indigenous genocide and survival, it started getting deeper and deeper and deeper, right? And the challenges started growing bigger, bigger, and bigger. I know, use your creativity, bro.
Yeah.
Creativity will always defeat that.
Thank you.
Because creativity comes from your heart. It doesn't come from your mind. It
Mm-hmm.
comes from your heart. Your heart has a mysterious pump. What is the source of that pump? It's mysterious. It's
Mm-hmm.
it, it's powerful. It evokes emotions and passions, but it's not easy. It's not easy. And sometimes you have to stay quiet about things that you wish you know what I mean? Like sometimes you just go, wow, I really can't help that. And that's okay. Your job is not to help everything and solve everything. That's not our way either.
Thank you. Thank you. I needed to hear that. um, yeah,
Wow.
it
I mean,
can't be.
it's
I can't.
it's crazy to think that you can.
I
That's
don't
not
think I can. That's
that's
like
not
there's a lot of other people helping streamers too, and I'm like, there's been plenty of times like that I felt like quitting throughout this whole progress, the whole process, because there's other people that are doing the same thing, but they don't have good intention, and jealousy comes into play, and also like just in general how tiring it could be and how it's draining, but luckily we're still here, and I have a good support system. It's not just my partner, but we have like our friends that went out there all the way to San Diego. My friend No Religion, my friend Silent Victor, No Religion's wife, and Chata. These great activists that just do the work without question, and they go out there with us. But it's been tough. And I was just talking to a friend earlier today. He goes, I hate politics. I don't like to get involved, and that's what I'm growing up in the hood. We don't really care about politics. I never cared. I would have never cared if it wasn't for, I was a victim of police brutality twice. I got beat up really bad by the Cudahy Police Department and the LAPD in the same year. If it wasn't for that, honestly, I don't think I never thought that change could even happen. I just thought that the whole game was rigged already. Democrats, Republicans are all the same. It's just rigged. It's already, there's no point in voting. There's just no point of getting involved. It's already set up for us to fail. And it wasn't until like I mean, maybe
Of
I'm
course.
kind of
Of
sidetracking a
course.
little bit,
No, of course
but like
it's
the
meant.
Cudahy Police Department growing up, they were like really terrorizing my city. We have the second smallest city in LA County, and but we are the most densest. Like I think we're like top 13 most densest city in the country, and we had a police department that was stopping everyone back in 2009. Every morning we had cops stopping everyone on Atlantic Boulevard, taking away their cars for not having licenses, taking away the cars for not having papers, beating up people, shooting people, innocent people, raping 14-year-old girls. We had doing tranzas with the trucking company. And honestly, like, I don't think I'll ever be able to top what we did back in 2010. But we got together as a community. We started exposing all the stuff. We started attending the council meetings, attending the town halls, to the point where they had so many lawsuits. I filed a lawsuit at the whole police department, which was a department that was built of police officers that were kicked out of other cities and got disbanded. The whole police department got disbanded. And to me, it was in July 2010 when I got that letter that of the news. It was like it opened my mind. So I was like, holy shit, like I could really, like, shit could really happen. Like we could really, really make a change. And it meant something to me so much. And it just opened the floodgates to like who I am now. So anyone listening out there, yeah, I know the game is fucked up. Yeah, I know it's rigged. Yeah, Democrats are trash. Yeah, Republicans are trash. But those little victories, dude, change so many lives that I'm happy with that. And we can continue doing these things, because if it wasn't for that, Cudahy would still be fucked up, and all these other cities, and we have to have those small victories and continue pushing to whatever limit that we think. And there shouldn't be a limit. I think
Well,
Just keep
just
going.
because just because I suggested that to put in your perspective that this is a
Yeah.
reservation or a project or a ghetto or whatever it is that you put in your mind or whatever it is that you call where you come from, you know, it doesn't mean that you don't say anything. You could
Hmm.
stand up for yourself anywhere,
Yeah.
anywhere. You should stand up for yourself wherever you are. That's another lesson I kind of learned at Mexico because they were like kind of protecting Shanty, kind of like they weren't very well constructed. They were like more poor, right? But they protected themselves.
Yeah.
They didn't rely on anybody. They said something, right? They dealt with people in a certain way to protect their community, and that's what you did. And you did it in whatever way it could. Like I don't like we shouldn't put a label on like, well, I did it in an activist way, or I did it with like petitions, or I did
Shit.
it.
Yeah. Right.
Just
Yeah.
do it. Just do it. Do
Yeah.
it that way. Do it another way. You think
Yeah.
a relentless attack is from every single angle, every single up, down, backwards, forwards. You're doing it in positions. You're doing it underground. You're doing it however you want to do. Just relentlessly, addressing the environment because you have a right to say, "Hey, get your fucking boot off my neck." Everyone has the right to say that.
Yeah.
We shouldn't be, if we're bred to say, "Oh, well, let's just not say nothing while they keep putting a boot on my neck." Unfortunately, our grandmothers and grandfathers were kind of raised that way.
Yeah.
Don't say nothing.
My dad tells me all the time. He thinks I'm gonna get killed. He sees me in the news. I would think that dad would be proud. He's like, "Ah, te van a matar," because it's sad that a lot of our people that grew up in Guatemala. I'm from Guatemala. I actually was born in Guatemala.
Yeah,
Um, and you know what happens to activists out there.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Rugumenta Manchu. I mean, she was one of the ones that I've, you know, man, some stories that she said were crazy. I think she's from
Yeah.
Guatemala, right? Rigumerta. You
I
know who she is?
No, never heard of her.
Read her. Go look her up,
Let
bro.
me write it down. I like to write stuff on my
Yeah.
notes. What's her name?
I think it's Riguberta Manchu or something like that.
Not sure. Okay.
Yeah, she is like one of the premier woman activists. Kind of had to deal with paratroopers, like U.S. paratroopers, torturing indigenous communities for certain resources. She was one of the main activists, and that's the thing is like it's finally trickling down to the U.S. where we're starting to see things that third world countries go through, you know and it's going to take a lot of creative people. It's going to take a lot of people with heart, a lot of people that just don't put a label on yourself. You're not an activist, bro. You're an intelligent human being who has a heart the size of the world, and understands the
Thank you.
positions that these individuals are going through. And activist is such a small
Yeah, I
title
don't
for
like it.
something like that.
It sucks because there's this meme that a meme that went viral about I think 4 or 5 years ago, and it said I'll never forget it. It says wanting to have clean water in in your community shouldn't make you an activist. Wanting to have It was a whole list of things that are
Right.
not normal,
I think I remember that.
and I agree 100%, 150% with what you're saying. The stuff that I'm doing too, it shouldn't make me an activist. It's just survival.
Yeah, it's
Well, and
it's a word that newspapers use to kind of point out people who are counterculture, right?
Yeah.
That's not what that's not what I'm doing with my art. I'm not a protester. I'm not an activist. I'm an artist that will explain life as he sees it.
Yeah.
That's
Kind of
what
like
I'm
you're a reporter yourself.
exactly in my
Just
own
in the
way.
background. Yeah.
Right? In my own way. Like I'm not very detailed. Like Immortal Technique's more detailed about like politics and people who I go deep, deep, deep into the depths of one's soul. That's what I tried to learn, you
Yeah.
know. I want to go deep
Yeah.
past the pain of oppression because there are points in yourself and your being that you can sit comfortable with knowing that the societies that you come from are unmatched on the globe. And not because it's better or smarter or more advanced. It's
Yeah.
its own medicine. Just like Chinese medicine and anybody that created things, in the past, Egypt, right? We have our own. It's its own Rubik's cube that people have not even tried to figure out. And that's creativity in art through a life experience. Has nothing to do with capitalism, has nothing to do with popularity, has nothing to do, what it has to do with is going deep into that soul, bypassing all the trauma, finding the true self that exists before trauma, and reintroducing yourself to that, right? And taking root in that.
Yeah.
And that's what we do when we stand up for ourselves and for our
Yeah.
communities, like this brother does right here.
Yo, I have a message for everyone that's watching and that's going to be listening to our iTunes or Spotify. Support your local street vendor, man. Like
Yeah.
me, it's second nature to me.
Yeah.
Like,
Protect him too. Protect him. Say something. Hey, what the fuck? I'm gonna call the cops on you. The street vendor don't call the cops on you, but I will. This person is attacking somebody. That's what we need to do. Exactly, Armando. You're
I hate
exactly right.
yeah, and I hate waiting on the cops. To be honest with you, I fucking hate the cops. Like, I mean, personally, I hate them all.
Right.
It's just my opinion, though. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
But sometimes it stops people in their tracks. They get scared and they're like, okay, all right, fuck
How do you
it.
feel
To be
about
honest, like sorry, to be honest, I wouldn't even do it if it wasn't beneficial for our people, the majority who are undocumented, because if they don't have a police report, they cannot qualify for a U visa. If it wasn't for that, dude, the hell with
No,
them.
but what I'm saying though is that
Yeah.
the report. Well, I mean, the police officer is going to talk to the vendor regardless.
Yeah.
Right. We're in a tough situation, but I believe that our creativity, I believe that our heart, our wisdom. I mean, man, I just look back at my own story, and I know that my grandfather came from a dirt village and became a diesel mechanic with no education. He just said, "I'm gonna go to school," and learned. Figured out a way. He figured it out for his family, for the love of his family. He gave my mom an opportunity to grow up in the US without, what he thought was a better life.
Yeah.
But my mom dealt with racism, right? He dealt with poverty, extreme poverty and non-educated life, to going, "Oh, go Mija, you go to school." You did, and my mom's not into school, so she didn't go to school. She chose her own life.
Yeah.
My point is though that he put all his heart and soul and figured it out. I believe in our people. I believe in our indigenous lineage. And if they could figure out how to put pyramids under celestial positions that mark times of the year, then the answer is in time, right? And how we use time. Once we get to those levels, and to create profound pieces of art takes time. So we'll be patient. I know 100 years from now, the work that you did, the work that I'm doing will be shown, because I've seen it. My album El Vuh, 20 years from now, I've seen it. We contributed to that, whatever that is. The indigeneity, the newfound indigeneity that we found, not knowing that we're indigenous people. Now we know because of groups like Asa Underground, groups like El Vuh, and we continue that torch. Right?
Yeah.
Can you let people know where to follow you? Most importantly, how they could help you
Yes,
with funding
absolutely.
when you're raising money for these street vendors, man. Because I see you're very effective in doing it, and it's not that, I believe it's a choice. Is that I think you need to do it for these people, right? Raising money for them. It doesn't matter if it's through donation, GoFundMe, whatever.
Yeah, because
But
street vendors don't get time off. They don't get paid vacations. They don't get protected healthcare. I mean, until now, California, but it's very necessary. I mean, I don't take personal donations, but whenever there's an attack, I put up there. And one of the reasons why I got involved with street vendors too, because there was a street vendor who was beat up pretty badly in Long Beach. A random person just created a GoFundMe, pocketed like $5,000 and vanished. So I kind of became like a first responder for street vendors to the point where I helped them create a GoFundMe, and only they have the password, not even me or anyone else. So as soon as that they're done, and they want to withdraw their money, and I hate that GoFundMe does take a little piece. I think it's like 1% or 2%. It's not that much, but it's uh it's transparent to everyone, because when you post a Venmo or a Cash App, nobody knows how much was donated, right? It shows a lot of transparency, and then basically, I also teach them how to, even if you're undocumented, you can go get a prepaid debit card at a PLS check cashing place, and it goes directly to them. And that's, to me, that's probably one of the most important work that we do, because there's a lot of people out there, dude, that take advantage. Um, yeah, my pages are Enamorado Alex underscore on TikTok and Instagram. And, there's also two Senate bills that are on the floor right now at the Assembly that are to be voted on soon. One is a good one that will streamline permitting processes for street vendors, and then the other one will criminalize them more. So it's a very crucial time for them, because if the bad one passes, you're going to see a lot of vendors getting arrested, a lot of vendors getting their food taken away. This is where it's important right now. Sadly, do I want to work with this government and having to deal with this? No. But it's the we're slaves to the society at the moment. Do I want to have an iPhone and deal with Apple? Do I want to shop at? Do we want people shopping at Walmart? No, but it's something that needs to be done for them now, and it's very important. So, and then another thing too, like I want the president to sign an executive order to make these attacks even more serious, because there's a hate crime against any attack towards Asians, but there's nothing protecting street vendors right now, where at least people can think twice about
Well,
it.
there's a reason for that because they consider us prisoners of war.
Yeah,
We're casualties. We don't need to be highlighted at all. If we're
yeah,
talking white supremacy, if we're talking the same thing, if we can't have a veil of it. Like it exists and it don't exist. It always existed.
yeah,
We
yeah.
need to think that
They
way.
try to belittle it. They try to be condescending towards it.
But I mean, I
But
have a little bit of a comment to what you're saying, though. I mean, petition and activism and all that stuff. When you're a runaway slave, right? Say you're a slave, right, on a plantation, right, and you're running away,
yeah,
and you're running away with no shoes, and if you find a pair of shoes from the white man, you're not gonna use them. You're not gonna put those fucking shoes on and keep running,
go
right?
ahead.
Right? If you see a nice little gun there or shotgun or rifle that the white man brought, you're not gonna pick it up and use it. That's not survival, bro. Not to use every single aspect of it. Now, it's your choice on whether how long you want to wait or believe that they'll change anything for you. Because I still feel that creativity is the thing, like a big parking lot from someone,
Hmm.
private owner, right? Says, I'll let them do that. You know? That creativity is the answer. As
I
well
like
as
that. Yeah,
as well as throwing the arrows of petitions and protests and whatever it is that you do, there isn't just one arrow in your pouch.
mm-mm. Mm-mm.
There's a multiple array of arrows that you keep
Just a
flinging.
small part of it. Yeah,
Right? It's just one. It's just that petition, that Senate bill, whatever, that fight for that. That's that. Just that one little shot. Boom. But there are others that I keep going. I'm relentless with my attack
yeah,
because the attack
exactly.
comes from a good place, right? And it's not even an attack. It's really an awareness, an ability to live in any environment, right?
Yeah,
The conquest was not the curse. The conquest was the lesson. It's the lesson. Will you remember how to be a community? Will you remember your herbal medicines? Will you remember the ancient songs? Will you remember the significance of the pyramids? The conquest wasn't the curse. It was the lesson.
hmm a
It's
hard
the,
lesson. It's sad that It's and you're
We
right.
have to get, but
We have to stay. We
we are
have to
very
stay in touch with our
disciplined
culture.
people. We are very disciplined, very strong people. We were very disciplined, very strong people. We have to get back to that. And that's the lesson. That's the lesson, right? Tighter family, tighter communication,
Yeah,
tighter community, community.
resiliency. Yeah,
Yeah. Because
yeah.
look at what you did for what city was that? Where you
Cudahy.
Cudahy.
Got
Look
it.
at what you did,
I love
dude.
Cudahy, man. I grew up in Southgate.
There you
Shout
go.
out to all
Yeah,
the homies.
neighbors. Shout
Out
out
from
to everyone.
Cudahy, you
That's
know what I'm
right.
saying? But I remember, man. I grew up out there, man, and the cops, they were all raza también, and they were treating us like shit.
Tokens. Yeah.
They have to. They have to.
I was more scared of my own raza cops than the white cops.
They have to. Tell me any time in history. I'll
These
wait.
motherfuckers
I'll wait
were fucking
for
me
your
up.
answer. But tell me any time in history where cops were cool. Anytime. Never. They've always been that way. So we shouldn't complain about somebody it's like complaining. It's like being a turkey in the forest going, fuck, man, that wolf always wants to eat me, man. That fucking wolf always wants to eat me.
I just
I
got
like
pulled over
that. I
a
like that.
couple of
I
days
like
ago
that.
just for nothing.
I know. They pulled me over too when I left Valley Native.
Oh, serious?
Yeah. They pulled me
Damn,
over.
man, they're just pulling over everyone right now.
You know, it's just like, hey, but they have to. That our job is to know how to maneuver. You know what?
Dodge and weave.
There are wolves, and I sure animals that could smell. They're old, you know? They've lived life. They understand that their scent could be, whoa, 3 miles. Oh, wait, there's somebody over there. I don't want to go that way. You know what I mean? We have to be like that in very tight environments. But we can do it, and we have done it. Man, if a person from El Salvador can take a train, cross one border, go on another, go through the road that they went through just to step on this land,
Yeah.
we can do a lot of things. Our grandparents accomplished a lot of things, but they wiped this white fucking paint over it. Like we're stupid or that we don't match up to them. And match up to what? What have you ever done? You've stolen everything. You're a thief. I don't have to match up with thieves. We come from intelligence, cosmic energy, wisdom of the sun and moon. There's no comparison.
Yeah.
Keep your work up, bro. Keep your work up,
Thank you,
bro.
man. Thank you. And I like your analogy, but I also think that we're also wolf. We're also lions ourselves. You know, we there's times that we need to step up and step back. You know, this not only was this land colonized and stolen from our people, but I think it's imperative that we do have people like you. You know, so I want to give you a shout out
Oh, thank you.
because growing up in Cudahy, to be honest, I wasn't exposed to a lot of our indigenous culture of who I am and who we are. A lot of 97% of people in Cudahy are refugees who just came, like myself. I'm not even I wasn't even born here, bro. You know, and it's been really hard for me to even, you know, 10 years ago to even get a job or be, do a lot of things. But it's
And
that
you're on the front lines, bro. You're on the front
yeah,
line.
I use my little small privilege, dude. I became a U.S. resident, so it's like I still have a lot of even though I got really lucky, I'm a convicted felon. But I am a U.S. resident, and I use that little small privilege to put myself in the line,
Mm.
because a lot of our folks are not. It's not that they're scared, and not that that makes them weak, but they're being strategic and cautious on how to speak up, right? So we need to be out there and put ourselves out there, kind of put myself out there like a little shield, but. Um, I just want to thank you, and I want to thank LA natives, and I'm still learning every day about Maya indigenous culture, Maya, because I am Mayan,
Wow.
especially my dad's side, and
Wow.
I can't wait to be able to go back to Guatemala
Mm.
and be able to learn more, and decolonize everything for myself, from everything. Like I grew up Jehovah's Witness, and I stopped being a Jehovah's Witness when I was around 17 years old. I had to decolonize for myself, and it was very hurtful. I went through like a 3-year depression because I really did believe in that God. I really did. I really felt like that was, whether I died, I was going to go and see all my I was gonna see my brother again. I was gonna see, all the people that I had to bury, and it was just a whole big lie, and it's super hard. And let's not give up on our people too, who are having decolonized themselves from Christianity or Catholicism, because it takes. We need to plant those seeds. We won't be able to change their minds right now, but give it 2 years and be
It's
patient
not.
with them. Yeah,
I
it
thank
takes
you.
a lot of patience.
Thank you for your kind words, bro. I mean, I can't tell you how much that means to someone who's been working this long and doing what I do. And now I have a voice through this podcast, and so I'm honored that you're here because, man, you're a resident, bro, and you are on the front lines, bro. That is a warrior, man. That is somebody that just doesn't who fights from a different position, right? You fight from the energy of your heart, not your mind. Your mind is there, but your heart is what leads. That's like that's very, very impressive, my friend.
Thank you.
That
I appreciate
you
that.
are one of the great individuals, and I know you're going to come up with creative solutions and evolve your work because we have to evolve. We don't get. That's what I'm trying to tell you. I'm glad that it was him that I got to share this message with. Don't let the movement just chew you up because there's a lot out there. Like you said, it's been relentlessly happening. Be strategic, be creative, do it from your heart, then let it process in your mind. But don't start in your mind because your mind has so many roads, so many avenues.
Hmm.
It's a maze. But your heart has one road, truth. It's a straight line, truth. That's why I don't fear anything I say. And if they do try to hurt me, then they will put me only with the inevitable, which is our great friend, our guide, is death.
Yeah.
Not in a cryptic way, in a inevitable way. We all face it. So I'm gonna talk truth then. I'll
Yeah.
talk from my heart. I'll show my love and not be embarrassed or ashamed. That's what LA Natives events are about. That's what plant-based Aslan is about. That's what this brother's work is about. You're a brave brother. It was an honor to interview you, bro. For sure.
Thank you, and likewise. And like I said, thank you for everything you're doing. And like I said, we will continue learning, and we got to keep our culture alive, especially now that the whole world is connected more than ever because of the internet. And in 1,000 years from now, a new language will emerge, and we have to be super uh, uh, strategic in how to keep our indigenous languages in that conversation and
Mm.
keep our culture alive, because it could easily get forgotten because of white supremacy and how it invaded all the world. 88% of the world. But
I don't worry
I,
too much more about white supremacy. I know we're in the midst of it, but
yeah,
when you go, this is my shit. Just because you killed everybody and just took their books doesn't mean you know it, right?
exactly.
That's the way I feel about people who are colonizers or conquerors or individuals that they feel like, oh wow, all I have to do is kill you and hold your knowledge. No, you have to learn, connect, implement, be humble to use
Yeah,
that kind of wisdom. You have to be humble. You ain't humble, then you're fucking in kindergarten. You're in preschool when
yeah,
it comes to wisdoms, when
yep,
it comes to profound teachings. And so, anyways, thank you so much for sharing your story. Thank you for the work that you do. Continue to be
thank you
creative. Continue to evolve. We're gonna let you go now, and thank you for all the
for sure.
Aslan tribe out there who's been chatting and giving us your opinions and I feel really grateful to be a part of this community because we're coming back and we're coming back strong.
I love my vendors, man. Like I love every single one of them. All the vendors that I support, man.
Yeah.
It's a different bond compared to just going to a fast food joint or a
Yeah, you
restaurant.
see
Exactly.
them from the
You know?
Yeah,
ground up, from the
yeah, and they
ground
they
up.
own they own their own means of production, and
Uh-huh.
that's the beauty of it. they're not part of any oligarch. They're not at Taco Bell where you're profiting and a billionaire and then just exploiting workers. They all own their own means of production. The majority of food sellers, and so it's a beautiful thing. So let's yeah, continue supporting our vendors, and thank you for having me on here where we can shed light and expose what's going on right now. And yeah, so for everyone that wants to get involved, just like Mando said, support your street vendors, get to know them, have a conversation with them, get the contact information, because you don't want to be at your house and then you see them getting attacked and be like, hey, I know that's Don Pancho, but I don't have his number because and you can easily get in contact with them and even get a hold of, the people that help them out, because I'm not the only one. We have 10,000 street vendors in LA County alone, so so it's
It's a mountain.
whoever
It's
it
a,
is, it's not just this is not about me, dude. Like, this is
you know
about
what the work,
everyone as a
the work.
collective.
You know what, Armando? I think the work that brother does right here, it just inspires other people to say something. You know what I mean? Because without your work, no one will know, right? And it just becomes a shock, and they're like, "Whoa, what the fuck's happening?"
Yeah.
But we have to. That's the part that I'm trying to hammer home in terms of like what the lesson is in Mexico is that it's kind of like a beehive. If you mess with one of them, all of them come out. We need to, and when you have that type of information, 9 out of 10 people will protect somebody who's being robbed,
Exactly.
right? We have to bring that to the consciousness of people, and most people are good. Most people are good. They'll have their prejudices. They're not perfect, but
Yeah.
they don't like to see people get hurt. I don't like to see people get hurt. I know there's a lot of people that are just they feel the same. Some people aren't. Some people are cold, but
Yeah.
that's really kind of like in the East Coast due to the weather. You know what I mean? Like, we got fucking sunshine over here,
Uh,
365,
I
and
just came back from New York, dude. I for the first time I love New York. I think it was like the whole other. I don't know. It was similar to LA, but
I don't know,
uh,
but there's just some people that are just
You know
cold as
what?
fuck.
You know, I,
And
we
they
hey, but
happen to be
we're
from New York.
enojados, we're amargados because of this heat, dude. Even in
Yeah.
my household, like I noticed everyone changing. Like as soon as the heat comes out, like in the hood, we used to say that when the heat comes out, the heats come out.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
dude, it
Yeah.
gets crazy. We're pretty wild too.
Yeah. Well, we're all the same, but in the sense that, we have really good weather out here. We don't fucking have to deal with
All right, y'all. Well, thank you so much
All
for
right.
having me. I appreciate you, El Vuh, and
All right.
looking forward to see you. I'm gonna try to make your show on July 22nd with the homie
Oh,
with the
cool,
Immortal
man.
Techniques. So,
Thank you. We appreciate that.
all right.
Absolutely.
So Zero, any last words?
Nah, just, stay together, man. I think the moral of this story is this, or this podcast or this interview is to see how powerful community could be, evolve your activism into something that becomes a network, something that becomes more informative, not for yourself.
yeah,
The age of self is gone. That's gone, man. We're in the age of community,
yeah,
you know? Why? What do you think influencers are? Influencers are individuals who have a large community, right? That's what it
yeah,
is. We're in the age of community. So use your community to bring peace to your environment because that's true prophecy. No matter
yeah,
what this colonizer wants to impose on our great mother Tonantzin, they don't have that type of power. You need to be connected to have that type of power. When you killed off our elders and our medicine men, you think they went away? No, they didn't. They just had a good relationship with death, and they understood to stay away for a certain amount of time until we learned our lessons. Now is that time to love your
yeah,
family deeply, to protect your community around you, to support people who you feel are leading the path to that peace inside of you. We'll see you next Wednesday. La Sucamatli,
thank
Tonantzin,
you.
Tonantu, Umeteo.